You've got big dreams. You want to start your own business, become a millionaire, travel the world. By the time you get off work, you barely have the energy to do anything. So you fall back into the same routine, doom scrolling social media, and binging Netflix until you fall asleep. Let me ask you something. Is this how you thought life was going to be? Listen, your life doesn't have to be like this. In this video, I'm going to show you how to actually become productive by doing less. This is something I had to learn the hard way through my own experience in building a company from scratch and ultimately selling it for $110 million. And so the first step to actually changing your life is to understand the missing ingredient that's been holding you back. And you might think it's time. After all, if you had more time, maybe you'd make those sales calls. Maybe you'd start that side hustle or that business. But the harsh truth is you have the exact same 24 hours as the billionaires. In fact, I have met dozens of billionaires and multimillionaires, and let me let you in on a little secret. Some of them are super high energy and they get tons of stuff done and they work 24/7. But a lot of them are kind of lazy. They putter around, as Jeff Bezos puts it, and they don't work nearly as hard as you think they do because they understand it's not about actually doing more. It's not about more time. The answer is about how to get leverage on your time. And let me be very clear. The only difference between you and the billionaire is how much leverage they get out of every hour of work that they put in. And so as I say this, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. I know where this video is going. I just need to get more done in the hours that I put in. But that's not the point of this video. Like, as I said in the beginning, this is a video about actually doing less. Because let's face it, the idea that productivity is about cranking through some to-do list and getting more and more things done in your time is sort of a modern productivity myth that you've been sold hook, line, and sinker. That's not how the world's most successful people actually work. And to help you understand this, let me explain a story about one of the richest men I've ever met. He lived in San Francisco and he was actually my personal CEO mentor. He owned the most expensive house in San Francisco. And about every month or so, I would meet with him to sort of give an update on the business and get advice and wisdom on what I should do next. And every time we would meet up, we would go through kind of a very strange routine. We would meet at this place called the Olympic Club. And if you've never heard of it, no worries. It's a very secretive, kind of invite-only gym in San Francisco. And when we'd meet there, we wouldn't actually talk business, at least not initially. We'd always start with a workout. We'd go up to the fifth floor overlooking San Francisco. We'd lift some weights, get some cardio in. And then afterwards, we'd go down to the locker rooms, hop in the steam sauna, and sort of talk about business, talk about life. And, at first I was like, this is amazing. When you walk in, this gym is from the 1800s. So it's like walking into something out of like The Great Gatsby. It's, Art Deco, it's beautiful. Everything is world-class, top-notch. But then it started to kind of stress me out. I'm in here with this amazing mentor of mine. We're hanging out, we're discussing business, we're in the sauna. Back in my office, I have like 40 people that are working for me wondering, where the heck is the CEO? Where is he disappearing for 2 hours? He comes back, he's all showered and fresh. I started getting really stressed out about this. And so one day I asked him, how do I even think about fitting this in my schedule? How do you fit this into your schedule? It feels like we're just sort of honestly slacking off here. And he taught me one of the most valuable lessons in my life. He said, listen, man, productivity, hustle culture, all this stuff, it's all a load of BS. He said the truly successful people have mastered the art of doing less. But of course, you're watching this video and if you just start doing less work, less things, you're not actually going to reach your goals. After all, the whole point of this video is to teach you how to actually become productive. So if you want to actually become productive, you need to do less in 3 very specific ways. The first is to do less in life. This modern social media entrepreneur sort of culture that we live in today has a very distinctive feel, a very distinctive message to it. You've got the guys flying around on private jets, the helicopters, the Instagram models, they're on the yachts, they're living their life, making millions on the side. That is a sort of character image built up and handcrafted and designed to sell you a course or a mentorship to make you think that by buying that course, you can live a life like that. That is not how actual business gets done. That's not how successful people work. Successful people live very simple, almost monk-like routine lives. What that means in practice is the day-to-day actually isn't that flashy. They probably wake up at the same time, have the same coffee every morning. Maybe they had the same breakfast. If you look at like a Steve Jobs or a Mark Zuckerberg, they're often wearing the same outfit every day. What it does is it simplifies your life. So you're not trying to make 100 decisions every day. You just have a few critical things that you need to get done. But the second thing they do is maybe even more important. You see, I opened this video talking about your goals, and there's a good chance you have lots of goals. But if you want to actually be successful, you need to shrink the number of goals you have and increase the scope of each goal. So rather than having 5 goals or 10 goals, you really, I would say every year, get to choose one really big goal, and then maybe 2 to 4 sort of small to medium goals that are sort of complementary around that. And then the third thing that they do is something that's a little unintuitive at first, because even when you just have one goal, the temptation is to start listing all the things that you want to do to get closer to that goal. For example, let's say you want to lose weight. Well, maybe it's like, okay, I need to find a protein powder. I need to get a personal trainer. I need to get a nutritionist. I need to find a gym. I need to get workout clothes. And all of a sudden, you have this massive to-do list that feels like it's getting you closer to your goal, but in many ways can just sort of be a way to actually give you the feeling of being productive while not actually accomplishing the thing that you want to accomplish. So what you need to actually do is find the one domino that if this domino falls over, all the other dominoes fall over. And usually most tasks in life have this singular outcome that if you just did this, everything else comes together. So for example, this week, actually my one big outcome is to film this video. As long as I film this video, I've really accomplished the thing that I need to do to get done. And obviously, I had to script it and go back and think about the best way to frame this and the best way to explain the concepts to you guys. But ultimately, my outcome is I need to film this video. As you're sitting down and thinking about your goals, it's really critical to actually spend a lot of time in the planning phase. And what I'll usually do is I'll put on some nice music, or I'll just be in an inspiring place, and I'll look at my week ahead of me and say, what are all the things I need to do this week? What is the one thing that I absolutely need to do? And that becomes sort of like a non-negotiable for me, where it's like, I will get this one thing done no matter what. And you can do this for a week or even for a specific day. You need to have one thing so that no matter what happens, you're gonna get it done. And sometimes this doesn't come easy. I will spend 30 minutes to an hour really trying to think through like, what is that one thing? But of course, if you do find that one thing, there are some other challenges if we're being honest. Life doesn't always go the way you planned. And what will inevitably happen is once you figure out that one thing, you will go in, committed to getting it done. But then the distractions arrive. Maybe it's a friend that wants to hang out. Maybe it's a new TV show or some breaking news on TV that doesn't affect your life in any way, but they're trying to get your attention. And the challenging thing about these is it's easy to dismiss these things as sort of just like a waste of your time. You need to focus and you need to grind. Life is about trade-offs, and some of these things might actually be things that you want to do. You want to go to that party. You want to hang out with your friends. And so you have this risk. You can go to all these events and these distractions, or you can really sort of monk mode, hurdle up and just get the one thing done. I think both of those are kind of crap solutions because neither really allows you to sort of experience life to the fullest. What you should do instead is schedule and block out time to work on this one domino in your week ahead of time. So if you think it's going to take 2 hours, that's fine. Find a 2-hour block on your calendar and schedule it and stick to it. If it's 4 hours, 4 hours. But by scheduling it in ahead of time, then you take the distractions and fit them in around this block that you've carved out. It's the only way to actually move things forward. If we're being honest, there is one more problem here. How many times have you set out to do something, you set aside time, the time comes, you get there, and you just don't do it? Actually, it's not your fault. This is a very common and explainable phenomenon. And the truth is, scheduling it is only half the battle. You need to actually execute when the time comes. And to make sure it actually happens, there are 2 things I'd really recommend. The first is to not only understand the outcome that you're trying to achieve, but understand what it means to you. Oftentimes, when I'm writing something and writing my to-do list, I will first describe the very specific outcome, not action, but outcome. And then below that, I'll write, here's why it matters to me. Here's what it means for my life, for my family, for my friends. Like, why is this actually super important for me to get done? Because it can be easy to forget that when the time comes. And I'll visualize how that actually feels to get it done. The second thing that I do is I think about the environment. If you're, say, in college and you just want to get this done, but your dorm is always rowdy and messy and loud, maybe you need to leave that environment. If you're living at home and it's full of distractions, maybe you need to get out of that environment for that time block. I like to sort of sit down and look at my one thing I want to do and say, what is the ideal environment? For me, it's often a coffee shop or a place that's inspiring. I'll put in noise canceling headphones, but you need to figure out what works for you. But try to design your environment and have a strong outcome to actually get yourself in a place to get this thing done. Now, there is one more secret ingredient you can add to make this entire process 10 times more effective. It's a little psychological trick to actually make your brain crave getting this thing done and to crave knocking over that big domino in your week every week. Every time your brain does something, it's seeking responses. It's seeking feedback. Was that good? Was that bad? And so what you want to do is trick your brain into thinking when we do like hard things, when we get our domino done, it's a reward. It's a good thing. We light up and give it dopamine. So what you actually do is you plan a mini reward in whenever you achieve your outcome. For me, it's often super simple, like maybe I'll go treat myself to a nice coffee or I'll get a baked dessert from a local cafe. I'm always trying to find like, if I do this, then I will treat myself to this. And my brain says, I like that. We should do that more often. And you start to build this sort of like flywheel that increases the strength every time you do it. If you want to take it a step further, what you can also do is actually build in a punishment if you do not get your one domino done. Early on in Prodigy, we took advantage of this all the time. The rule was every time we went to like work on our startup, we would have one big outcome we wanted to achieve that day. And if we got it done, we would treat ourselves to not a nice meal because we were broke, but like maybe like a $15, $20 a person meal, like a decent meal in America. But if we didn't do it, if we failed to achieve our one domino, we had to go to Panera Bread and eat dinner. And no offense, well, maybe some offense to Panera Bread, but we just really didn't like Panera Bread. Like the meals were all prepackaged, pre-made. And so like we really hated the idea of going there for dinner day after day. And so we'd always work super hard to get that one domino done. Then we'd have like a sort of a nice dinner between me and my co-founder, Marty. And so with these small, simple steps, you can actually become way more productive by doing less if you just apply these to your life. Now, of course, being productive is only half the battle to achieving financial freedom. I mean, after all, if you are being super productive, but you're on the wrong path, doesn't matter how many hours, how many reps you put in, you'll never actually achieve your goal. And so to help you figure out the other half of this battle, I also just released a video on the smartest way to go from 0 to your first million. Put the link over here, go ahead and click it, and I hope it helps.